Okay, here's my video to you, Jessica and Seth. Even if you don't read it, Seth, this is just reiterating the conversation that we had and the arguments that I was making. First and foremost, to Jessica, you said that you did read my posts and that you may have missed some. Hopefully the only one that I cared about you reading, the only one that you should have read, if you read any of them at all, would be the one where the argument was originating from, that every other post was in response to, a response of, or a supporting argument to. And that was the fact that indoctrination of children is evil, is bad. Whatever you want to call it, it's wrong. Now the reason for this is that human beings learn by testing what they think could happen and finding out the results. Then they can apply those results to other problems in the future. That's how humans learn. The problem with that is that if you haven't learned anything yet, that can get you killed. So, the genius process of evolution has tuned all that out, and we have this system now, as children, where if we have a bond of trust with somebody, we're likely to believe what they have to say. Instead of going out and learning it ourselves through the process of testing and experimentation, we just take we believe them. We take their word for truth, instead of, testing our own truths. This is good so that you don't get killed. Like if your mom tells you that bears are dangerous, you don't go and test to see if bears are dangerous. You trust your mom there, and you believe her that bears are dangerous because she looks out for your safety. Now, religion exploits this bond of trust to teach children its own ideals. It uses that trust bond to get children to believe what they say and take it as truth. You might not think that that's bad, but the reason that that's bad is, let's take Christianity for example. And just so you know what I'm talking about when I refer to Christianity, I mean Christianity as taken from the Bible, beliefs from the Bible, literal interpretations. If you have any other interpretation, that's fine, I guess. Just don't, you're not a Christian, because you're taking the one information source that your religion can draw from, and you're changing it. Changing the belief in the Word, the only Word that you have of God, may make it sound like you have a God that's like the Christian God, but it's not. The point of that, there is no point to that to me. There might be a point to that to somebody else, but there is no point to me. It seems like even more far-fetched even for the person doing it to believe that it's true. Now, the problem with Christianity, when indoctrinating children, is they like to teach things like the story of creation, where the earth is only 6,000 years, it was only created about 6,000 years ago, and that's traced through the lineage crap in the Bible, back to this nice little creation story that happened in 6 days, and, yeah. So, you have that teaching in Christianity. Now, you're exploiting a child to tell him that that's true. The child, if he trusts you, is going to believe that that's true, because that's how the child's brain works. You're exploiting that fact to teach that to the child. Now, by doing that, you're ruining that child's future if he keeps believing the things as he gets older, which is quite often the case in America, since over 70% of people claim to be Christian in our nation. Sad, but true. Now, we can take something like evolution. We can take something like geology. Two things that we have a lot of knowledge of, a lot of evidence that we can prove, test, and show again and again and again and again that they are true. We can show processes by which the Earth was formed. We can show how old the Earth is. We can show the process of evolution in action. We can show ages and lineages, like links in phylogeny, phylogenetic trees, links in species, where species originated from, through many different methods that all coincide to the same conclusion with, you can examine species traits and build a phylogenetic tree. You can also examine DNA and build a phylogenetic tree, and you'll get the same tree. You'll get the same originating things. That's not all. There's retroviral DNA markers and all this stuff. But the fact is that that's truth. We can prove that. We can test it over and over and over again, come up with the same results and the same conclusion that this is how human beings came from former forms of life. Or chimpanzees came from former forms of life. Examples. But that story, and as well as other things like the Earth being round and the Earth forming a long, long, long time ago, and the processes by which the Earth formed, the processes by which the universe were made, all contradict with the Bible. And by telling children that the Bible is literally true, which is required if you're teaching them to be Christian or any religion that's based on the Bible, since it's your only source of information. By telling them that's literally true, if they continue to believe that, which is likely, then you're ruining their potential to actually go out and test and see all these amazing things. You're ruining their potential in the field of biology, geology, many fields of science, many fields, the most important thing that you could ever do. There's not a job that is more important than pretty much any job involving science. It's how we as a species, we move our knowledge forward, we learn. And we share it with everybody. We go peer review, we test it, we show that it's true. But you're destroying that process, destroying the potential, the great potential that each child could have, just for your selfish belief, your selfish, prideful belief. You can't even admit that you're wrong. You have no evidence for your beliefs. You have nothing to show you that your belief is true over anybody else's belief. Belief is completely ridiculous, it's wrong, and the indoctrination of children to believe, just ruins their potential. It's wrong of you to do, and I do think in a perfect world, people who did these things would be killed. It would be a law, it'd be capital punishment, and you would die. In a not so perfect world, but still better than the one we live in, you would at least be imprisoned to protect these children. That doesn't happen, and that were my points. Now, I just want to bring up a couple other things you said. I actually have my computer in front of me now. But Jessica, you had said something about what was it? I can't even see it yet. One moment. You had said something about I'm sorry, I'll move on. I'll come back to that if I can find it. Okay, Seth. You commented about the video that I'll be creating. And even if you don't see this, you might. So I'm going to say this here anyways. It's up to you whether you watch it or not. You said that little children could be watching the video and I'll be preaching. You seem to have missed my point that it's not preaching that's bad. It's abusing the system of belief, teaching them that these things that you believe that you can't prove are true, and ruining their ability to learn in the future. I'm trying to preserve their ability to learn. That's what I'm trying to do. Second, you said, where's the tolerance and the equality? Tolerance is bullshit. You shouldn't tolerate things that don't deserve being tolerated. You should tolerate things that maybe be outside your comfort zone, like homosexuality should be tolerated, personal choices of people, things that you don't necessarily agree with should be tolerated. But harming others should not be tolerated. That's not tolerance. There's nothing good about that. There's nothing that should be accepted about that. You said, where's the equality? Where is the equality? Why should you believe that you have the right to take away the potential of those children? You're ruining their equality. You're not giving them an equal chance to be as successful as they could be, as successful as somebody else could be. Somebody who wasn't forced to believe those things. And yes, I'm using the word forced because you're exploiting their brain to force them to think those things are true. I'm trying to cover everything in one video. Sorry if it's taken a little longer to find the things that I wanted to cover, because I don't want to make another video or have to type out another million words on my cell phone. Oh, and okay, here's what I was going to talk about, Jessica, for you. You said that if God isn't real and there is no heaven or hell, it didn't hurt a single thing by believing in it while you were here on Earth. Because in the end, not shit that we do here matters when we are gone. Now, that is completely wrong in every way. And I hope that you understand the first part's wrong just by what I've already said. And by, history, the Crusades, if you believe that buildings were bombed because of Muslim beliefs, all of that was caused by religion. Now, saying that not a single thing matters while we're here on Earth, if you don't ruin the potential of a child, they can learn something, they can show something, they can make a thesis, they can make a PhD. When you get a PhD, you actually get to expand the knowledge, the collective knowledge of the world. You get to show something new, and everybody else gets to see that thing. What you did gets to be seen by everybody. It makes a huge impact. That work can be worked off of and make new theories and problems solved. Everything that we do matters while we're here. Nothing after the fact matters, because there's nothing after the fact. It's completely harmful while you're here to believe in God. There's nothing good about it. Even if you want to bring in morality, you claimed, I don't know if that was actually Jessica or Seth that said that morality was drawn from the Bible long ago, but morality is just a thing. It's defined as a list of rules that you adhere to, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those rules are good. And I mean, of course, people have different interpretations of good, but here's what I mean. For instance, with Christianity or any other religion, you take your morality from a list of rules given to you in the Bible. You're basically putting your trust in the being that made those rules, that supposedly made those rules, believing that he knows what the best thing to do and not do is. So that's your morality. What's good about that? Hitler did the same thing. He gave morality to all the Nazis. He told them what to do, told them what not to do. They did it. Most people believe that's evil today. I believe most things taught by the Bible are evil. I can go through each one individually if you'd like, but that'll take a long time. And I don't base my morality off of what anybody told me. Not my parents, not the current laws as they are now. I believe I said in there that I don't think prison is a bad punishment if I'm able to stop somebody from exploiting a child in the way that you're exploiting a child. Now, obviously, that looks bad from a morality perspective to the law, because that could break the law for me to stop you. But for my morality, I don't draw it from books or anything. What I do, personally, which I think everybody should do, obviously they don't, but a lot of people do, I think. Enough, not a lot in America, but in other places, and it'll grow. But if others just examined their actions and drew their morality from those, drew their rules, their ways of life, by the consequences of the actions that they do and how they affect other people, the world would be a much better place. Unfortunately, the Bible doesn't do that. That no religious context does that. I mean, they might have rules in there that one would draw such conclusions from if they examine their consequences, like thou shalt not kill. But they also have, other ridiculous rules, other ridiculous statements against homosexuality. I also want to bring up the fact that somebody had talked about sex. I think it was Seth. Now, sex is something that happens with everybody at some point in time. Most people at some point in time. Suppose somebody could die a virgin. But it's something that you're driven to. And yeah, there's points at which it could be exploited, but much less so than what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, I think, is much worse than any sexual thing you could talk about except direct rape. What I'm talking about is what I'm talking about you doing is affecting a person for their entire life. It's causing them to not be able to do things later. Having sex is something that they're driven to do anyways. It's something that they need to do, that's required. It's the primary drive of life, is to recreate. But anyways, I hope you pulled something useful from this video, and I hope that I've shown you why it's bad for you to do to indoctrinate children, why it's bad for you to teach to children. It's not a problem if you want to believe. Whatever you want to believe to yourself, you can be as wrong as you want. Nobody cares. Nobody will ever care. What is problematic is when those beliefs bleed out into your responsibility to be a good person to other people, to not harm other people. That's a problem. And I don't think it's just a problem for me. I think it's a problem for more people. I think you should think it's a problem. I don't think you should be okay with doing those things to other people. I hope I've answered every question you could possibly have. If I haven't, I'll go back to typing. And I hope that if you forgot something I said, that you come back and read the video instead of asking me over and over again in the comments, Jessica. And a shout out to my little brother Eric, because I haven't seen you in a while. I love you, man. Hope you're doing well.